Hey, and welcome to the latest episode of Behind the Spotlight. We're waiting for my friend Chelsea to come on today. And talking today, the people that we're talking to is all about business. It's all about how you can run your business more efficiently, have more freedom, all the things that we want. So I'm going to wait for Chelsea to come on. But while we wait, I have Chelsea's bio, which I love to read before they come on, and then see how they talk about it when they come on. She's a highly intuitive being, a 1-3 sacral generator, a deep empath, and a self-healer. She's also a small business lawyer and has 10 years as a business coach and mentored and coached hundreds of entrepreneurs. I think that we're going to have a great conversation because sometimes when I think we build our businesses, we get very stuck in the what we should be doing and how we should be doing it instead of how we feel about it and how we feel like we should be actually running our businesses that feels really good versus just doing what we think we could. I'm trying to get Chelsea, if you could request to join, then we could get this started. On the bottom, I don't know how to do this for her, but she'll come on in a minute. We also have Alex Perslove coming on later today, and she too will talk about you. A little technical difficulty this morning, of course. There she is.
I think we're here. Perfect.
There she is. Chelsea, I didn't know you were a small business lawyer also.
Yeah, most of us entrepreneurs have our previous career, right? So I don't currently do that, but for 7 years, I was a small business attorney up in Maine before I realized that was not my passion or my path and kind of reinvented everything.
That's amazing. And you reinvented it from left brain to right brain.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do kind of like a little bit of a blend. So the strategy, like the left brain of me is checklists and SOPs and strategy and that stuff. It's just like breathing to me.
Right.
But then tapping into your intuition, your human design, the woo woo side of me. I'm here for any woo woo ladies. So feel free to put woo woo in the comments if you vibe with that.
Well, I'm going to put woo woo in the comments because I'm going to definitely vibe with that. I grew up with the woo.
Okay.
I grew up with energy in my house. My mom has the energy. She's not a witch, but sometimes I'm like, you have crazy
borderline.
Yeah, she would white light me as a kid, and I honestly I remember, I think I was in my late 20s. I remember feeling the white light go out, and she was like, it's your turn to turn your own on.
Oh,
And she taught me how to do that.
interesting. I do a lot of that with my son. Like I clear his energy when he comes into the house and stuff. But at some point, he's only 4. I'll have to tell him what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I was in my 20s, but
That's so cool.
I grew up with all of that with levitation and all that kind of stuff, levitating people at the kitchen table.
Oh my goodness,
that kind of stuff.
Fun.
So, not me, my mom. I wish I had those powers. I feel like when I get into my old age, I'll get those. So the woo is such a part of who I am and what in my everyday that I don't always think it's woo.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't like the fact that we have to sometimes I think people apologize for being woo woo, right? They can't fully, not you, but they can't fully bring themselves to be that. And it's so let's give everyone permission to be that today.
Well, and I think that's part of why I'm out with my woo. I have my affirmation card deck that I've made, and there's affirmations on here that are strategy, that are energetics, and then you just sign up into, let's say, a big name coach, like a big guru who's going to just be teaching you business.
Right.
You almost don't feel like you can show up with that part of you that might say, but I don't want to do a launch that date because it falls on a full moon or Mercury in retrograde or on my bleed. You'd feel like you can't bring those parts of you. And so I want to just make it safe space to be you can be a successful business owner and bring those parts of you to the table. I call it welcoming your intuition into the boardroom and bringing those practices to say, what do you need to do? Some of my clients, we're going to drop into Akashic Records during your call, or we're going to, tap into your spirit guide or use a body dowsing or a pendulum to make decisions. It's all of these decisions that you need to make in business, how can it be authentic for you, whatever way that is? Even if it's not any woo woo, but just to be like, let's stop giving our power away
Mm-hmm.
to these people who are just really good at marketing, right? And to
Yeah. Oh
say,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, you're the only one, like, you're the only one that has to run your business. I'm the only one that has to live with the consequences of my decisions of how I want to run my business, right? And so, how can we look at the decisions that need to be made and then help make them very authentically?
So what's coming up for me is like I fully understand that, and I don't really talk about my how I make
Yeah.
decisions. I don't talk about that openly,
Mm-hmm.
and not for any reason, but because I don't think that it's something
Yeah. Maybe
weird. I
not
don't think
feels
it's something.
relevant. Yeah.
It doesn't feel relevant
Yeah.
because that's just how I'm like, you know, it's like how am I feeling today? What does this feel like?
Yeah.
I do. You know what I do a lot of is like is when I think of when I'm working on a project or doing something, I feel into is this going to be successful? Or
Mm-hmm.
if I feel like something bad's going to happen, I'm like, is it
Yeah.
actually gonna? Is it actually like is it here or here?
Yes.
And then I'm
Dropping
able to
into
release
your
that
body.
anxiety.
Yeah.
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 I've been learning how, because a friend of mine was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just kind of, she's like, you do that? And I was like, doesn't everybody do that?
Oh.
She was like, no, not at all. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't know the side of you. This was fun.
Well, that's why, like, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on and I bring a lot of different people on is because not only do we get to bring you to my audience and really get
Mm-hmm.
them to see different sides of what's available in
Yeah.
business, but I get to talk about me a little bit
Yeah.
more and share
I
my vulnerabilities
love
and share myself a little bit
that.
more because that's sometimes hard for me.
Yeah.
So
Good for
when I
you.
was looking at your stuff last night to come over, I was like, oh, she's a generator. Because I
I
have a lot of
am.
generators in my life because I'm a manifester.
Ah,
And there
gotcha. Okay.
aren't a lot of us like just plain manifestors.
Yeah. I love coaching manifestors or helping them in their marketing because it's like, okay, here's some ideas, but you don't want me to tell you what to do. So you tell me what you're excited about. Like, what lights you up to lead people through? Because if you're not interested, you're not excited, it's not going to
Right.
happen because you truly are meant to be that like leader. Like, if we were in Roman times, right, you would be like leading an
Yes.
army, and having that vision of where we're going to go. And then I often end up working a lot with manifestors because manifestors really need to delegate. So I own a marketing agency. And so, like, if you're a manifester and you just feel like things aren't moving forward, it's probably because you're spending too much damn time in Canva or in your back office, right? Like, you're spending time in the
Yeah, that is
things that aren't where your energy is meant to be. And so, oftentimes, manifestors will come to me and be like, okay, it's time for me to step into my zone of genius and get some of this off my
yeah.
plate.
Yeah, I have an assistant. You know what? I don't know what she is. I don't even know if she knows. I should ask her to do like,
You're like, what's your
little tests.
title?
What are you?
Oh,
I
yeah.
bet she's a
Yeah.
generator. Like because I'm like, here's what I have to do. And she's like, great, here's a list
Oh,
of it. There are the
I
things
love
that you
that.
need to do,
Yeah.
right? And that's probably how you help your clients. Like talk to me a little bit more about what you can identify who you are by,
Yeah.
generator, manifesting, whatever it is, but how
Hmm.
you run your business and understanding what kind of support you need and what kind of
Yeah.
support you give.
Yeah. So what's really fun about the way that we work, so the name of my agency, if anybody's curious, it's called Intuitive Marketing Collective. And so for years, for 13 years, I think, I've been a business coach in different niches. And what I was really seeing as I stepped back into working, because I had a very difficult pregnancy and then labor and delivery. And I really kind of like broke my coaching business during my pregnancy. Like, as clients wind down, I was just kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm stepping back. So I kind of came back and said, okay, if I'm going to take time away from this adorable little being, what is my heart soul excited about? And I realized every one of my favorite clients when I was a lawyer, when I've been a business coach, was a very soul purpose driven healer or coach or just someone
Right.
who's bringing their gifts out to the world. And so for the past 2.5 years, I just shifted all of my coaching energy into coaches and healers. And then I was starting to see a shift where I feel like we've been in this like knowledge economy where over the past 5 or 6 years, it became like so exciting that you could log into a course, right? Like, oh my gosh, I can access Marie Forleo or I can access whoever through a course. And so we all as entrepreneurs like stuffed our brains. And I feel like there's a shift that
Yes.
now kind of the
Yes.
next this
Preach.
next level of coaches and healers is like, I'm not meant to learn everything. I'm not meant to be a bookkeeper and a Canva expert and a
Yeah.
System.io expert and a Kajabi expert and a this and a that. And so I was getting people to a place where like their strategy was great. My zone of genius is really offer design and helping people figure out how to package their gifts and their work. And then they would have this amazing idea, but they would still have their day job, or they're homeschooling moms, or they're going through chronic health. And so I was like, well, do you want me to just do it for you? And I started just like taking some of my clients and being like, I'll just do it for you. And then I realized, no, I need to bring together all these amazing, talented people that I've hired over the years and create an agency so that we can be the implementers, the doers. And so what's fun as clients on board, I'm often, not everybody doesn't have to, but I'll be asking them in the onboarding, like, if you know your human design, let me know. And it's helpful for me because I am a generator and I have sacral authority. And so if I'm on a sales call or a strategy call, and I don't know the other person's human design, I might think they're really excited about the idea we're co-creating, but they're just excited about my excitement, right? And so
Yes, yes.
I want people like sometimes on a sales call, even I'll be like, hey, you let me know that you're a projector or a reflector. Like, let's just put a pin in this conversation and let's circle back tomorrow once you've had some time to really integrate the ideas, because I don't want people signing on for projects or saying yes to something and then being like in that regret space, because we've all been there. And so I really just hold the space from sales conversation to wrapping things up. And I don't always like market this, but I'm also, I'm a human design guide, and I also do energy readings for individuals and businesses, which is really fun. So, for example, I had a client, Taylor, and he was kind of like stuck in the creative process. Like the first course he's bringing out to the world, and I could just tell he was stuck.
Makes sense.
And I was like, do you want like a quick human design reading? And like I could kind of do a rose reading on your business and see. And so in this like extra little call I threw in, we realized why his energy was stuck around all of this. And then he was able to move forward, because so many creatives get stuck in their process.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've hired someone who doesn't know how to support you through that, like, is it me overgiving? Yeah, probably. But I just care so much. I just want people to get what they paid.
Right.
And so if I'm like intuitively feeling stickiness, or even recently with a copywriting client, we were just in a Google Doc, right, working on an email sequence, and the copywriter had put a draft and I was reviewing it and the client was reviewing it. And I could just tell in one of her comments that like something wasn't feeling juicy. She wasn't excited about it anymore. And so I hit her up in Telegram and was like, tell me what's going through your mind and body right now. And we realized she just wanted one more email added to the sequence for it to feel, okay, let's include another email in the sequence. It's not a big deal. And I feel like so many times the creatives, the woo-woo, are just nervous to ask for help or ask for the space that they need. A, you might not know that that's your ideal process. And B, it feels like you're almost asking too much of a coach or someone you've hired. But for me, I have ADHD, I'm autistic. Like, I'm just starting to learn how to talk about the processes that best support me. And so I really try to intuit and kind of read the energy of whether a project is going in the direction that a client's going to be like so excited at the end, as opposed to like, okay, well, I have this funnel Chelsea's team built, but I'm not excited, so I'm not going to share it. That's not going to benefit their business, you know?
No, I know. Well, first of all, I'm like, okay, what are you feeling for me? That's of course my first thing, because I'm always up for a reading. I'm always up for a reading. And the second thing is, I think that it's, I'm like, expand your, like, I want everyone to work in that way, right? You're like, you keep talking about feelers, and I you're your ideal client, but I get downloads and the chills. I feel it physically, and I get, I don't really call them messages, but this is like, I have the chills right now. Like, when I'm right, I get the chills. When I'm in the right path, I'm talking to the right person, or I know someone's gonna sign up with me in the first 3 minutes if my conversation with them, right? Because I can feel it. And I usually say to my clients, like, how do you feel about that? I'm not going deeper how you're going. Like, how are you actually feeling about that? It's still in your head. So you're inspiring me to be like, when I talk to my clients, and I hope everybody else that's listening is not only going, what, like I am. I'm like, maybe Chelsea needs to be on my team, because not only does she have a spiritual piece of it, but she's going to take care of all that that I don't want to take care of. That sounds pretty good. But it's also like, thinking about how you take what you're doing, because like you say, a lot of people in the first 3 years of the business spend so much time in Canva
Yeah.
or in the back end of their business.
Yeah. And you're
But
DIYing and there's like no judgment, but at some point you got to graduate out of that.
but like I have a new opt-in that I was supposed to have come out this morning and I just haven't done it yet. And then it's in the back of my brain. I'm like, why aren't I putting it out there? Like, so I have to think about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
But
and
it's
to
coming.
your point of like you asking people how they feel, so that's really great if the person is a projector because they're going to make decisions based on how they feel. So like a really right. But then if you ask a generator like me, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because I make decisions from yes, no. And so a really simple example just from there's obviously different types of human design, but projector versus generator, if you're coaching someone or interacting with them, like my husband is a projector. So it's helpful for me to ask him if we're trying to decide where to go to dinner, what would feel good for you tonight? Would you feel good about going to like Mexican or going to downtown to Platypus and Gnome? But if he asks me that, I'll be like, I don't know, that feels stressful. But if he says, would you rather go to Mexican or Platypus and Gnome? And then I can feel into my body and be like, oh, Mexican, let's do it. And just knowing the different types of questions to ask people, like I can reflect back on people who I coached, and I truly say humbly, like I'm a masterful coach, but I can look back and see that there were some clients that if I knew what I know now, I could have guided them to a business decision I think would have resonated for the sustainable long term.
Right.
Because I can look back and see, oh, she was just excited about my excitement for her potential, but wasn't really making the decisions in alignment. So the method that I teach, I have a monthly membership and I teach the micro decision method that if you can look at business and see all the micro decisions, right? I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs. And so I'm like, you're all making the same decisions. Yes, it's all unique, but it's all the same, right? And I can have that perspective and see the patterns and see kind of the flow. And so I have this Canva whiteboard that I've mapped out that I share in my community and I use with all my clients to be like, where are your funnels? What opt-ins are going where? What's your client journey? What form of traffic? Do you have an abandoned cart sequence? Like it just shows you the micro decisions that you need to make. And you don't have to be worrying about whether you have an abandoned cart sequence if you don't have any traffic driving to the offer, right? Like let's figure out which one matters the most right now and then how to use the intuition around making that decision. And that's like one of the resources. And I've been sharing about it. If anybody's watching, I've been sharing about it on my feed this week is I have an intuitive pricing guide and it's free.
I wanted to talk about that. So I think that's really interesting. I get that a lot of questions. Like, you know, I've let my
what should I charge?
They're like, how much should I charge? And I'm like, how much are you charging? I always say double it and then another half. Because we always would charge half. But tell me about like that the spiritual or the feeling into the pricing.
Yeah.
For your client.
So in that guide, I have it up right now so I can think through. So I have 3 what I call pricing portals that you get walked through in this guide. And the first one is actually not intuition at all. It's actually getting a little bit of market research to look at, because I think I'm big on like scope of practice and not just randomly saying, oh gosh, I think I could do this because I'm good at it. Like, what have you been trained in? What do you have proof in? What do you have testimonials in? And so to look at really what your unique proposition is, the certifications and training that you've invested in, market research to see like what other types of people with a similar scope of practice are charging. And then the second one is also very numbers driven. It's about setting revenue goals that you love so that your business can love you back. Because most of my clients are in their first 0 to 5 years of running a business. And it's embarrassing for them to tell me, I don't know how to pay myself. I don't know how to track expenses, right? And so this literally walks you through how to look at the expenses of your business and the income of your business and how then it can flow through to you. And then to look at the net profit. So it's basically kind of tricking all of us into a little bit of a business plan activity. And then the third portal is about tapping into your energy and intuition to make sure that the pricing honors all parts of you. Right. So I love your challenge of like increasing pricing and saying double it and then another half. And if someone tries that out in their own voice and it feels horrible and they're not going to feel confident, then I would say put a pin in it and we're going to work up towards that. Because if like people can tell, and you know that, and I know you wouldn't push anybody into it, but if someone were to
Well,
say, hey, I'm charging $80 an hour now, and I should be charging $400 an hour. Okay, well, what if next time you launch, it's $120 an hour? What if the next time you launch, like step into the energy? Only, you've got to like totally read the room, right? Some people can do that leap and need that push and need you to be like, go do
yeah,
it,
you
baby
know me well
bird.
enough. You're like, I'm just gonna make you do it, and after you
Right?
get the $400, you're gonna feel fucking
You are going to
amazing.
feel
So,
amazing.
and then you're just gonna charge $400.
Right?
But no, but
And
I
there'll
get
be
pushback.
some that like
There's
won't
some,
say it out loud.
yeah, no, no,
There's the
yeah,
person
100%.
who literally won't say it out loud,
Yeah,
and then they'll never get a client. But if they're working with you, they should be.
they do. They do, and that's why and I think yours too. Like my programs are really
Yeah.
small because they're really really high touch.
Yeah.
I'm really invested, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
Invested in them
Mm-hmm.
changing. It's funny because I've been asked a lot, and I think you probably have the same reaction from your clients. I had a client who just signed on, and she was like, what am I going to walk away with?
Yeah.
And my answer was, you're going to become the person you've always wanted to be, but knew you couldn't get there on your own.
Wow.
And I feel like
Yeah.
you get the same reflection a lot
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of what we do is just developing into those people that can say, I'm worth $400 an hour, right?
Yeah.
Because creating the funnel and doing all the stuff has to be done, and it has to be done with mastery.
Yeah.
But the personal development piece of it,
Yeah.
not only do we need to do it, but so my kids are in college, and I see how much they've gleaned from listening to me.
Fun.
Just
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of moms of like preteens or like 9 to 12-year-olds, and I'm like, wait for 4 more years until something comes out of their mouth that you've been saying for 10 years. And you're like, you've been listening, and what our kids, because we do what we do, and our clients' kids, because what they do, are going to be able to create a better world for all of us to be old.
That's what I believe. Yeah. One of my the mission statement, like the visual of why I do what I do, is I just imagine ripples, like especially because I do work with people who are doing like big impactful work. If their ripple could only be this big because they just don't have the energy and the capacity to grow it bigger than whatever this would represent, number of clients, number of, money coming in. If with my support, they can expand to help this many more people and have that much more abundance flow in and then continue to expand it, I know that they're helping more people. They're also getting more abundance into their family. And I believe that when good people make more money, it only ripples out in good ways as well.
100%.
And most of my clients are like setting revenue goals around making sure that they can buy organic food and supplements for their children, and like they're not
pay for college.
I totally
understand.
Just to earn a living.
Right. And that's why I like working in media and really supporting my clients. Just like marketing, marketing media are very similar, but I like working in the media because it shoves you into being that person. Right? Like
sure does.
Podcast, it does. Because being on a podcast, you're not going to have a successful podcast if you hold back. Right. Yes. And when I work with my clients, we're working through what they're saying, the strategy, how they're saying it. And that. For me, being on TV changed my life. I don't want, I grew up under, eating snack wells and Weight Watchers, all that stuff. But being on TV was like, you need to show up as you in your body, and
I just got chills for you. Yeah.
But it's really allowed me more space to just create, because the reflection of myself being on national TV has allowed me to step into being that person that's on national TV and that loves being on national TV and can't wait to be on more national TV, which is here. But it's people like you and I who are allowing the space for those people to be like, hey, this is what I'm creating. Like, I know I have a friend who's on, Sabrina, and she's creating this amazing product for preteen boy. I think it's preteen boys. Sabrina, if I don't have it right, it's called Grime Preteen Boys. And she's taking her expertise through that. And she's ready to step into that business ownership.
Love that.
And to tell the world about the product that she's created, because she had a passion for that, right? And coming with her expertise. That's so hard for a lot of people. Yeah. And I'm so glad to share you with my people, to show them people in the world that can step up and do things. It's just about getting the support. I think too often people are like, well, I can figure it out. I'm like, but why do you want to, right? Having somebody like you or I in the corner to help you jump the steps and get to that place where you can have all your funnels right and all your
Yeah.
copies good, and
Yeah.
you know
And
the
then the
only thing you
media
need to work on
drive
is the
traffic to
traffic,
it.
right? The media is getting you the traffic,
Yeah.
and that's all you need. I know
So
that's why we have a lot of
cool.
synergies.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate Chelsea you coming on.
Yeah.
I know you have your pricing guide. It'll the link to your Instagram will be in the comments.
Awesome.
It will be a collaborator, so we can both go back and forth.
Well, and
But I really
I just
appreciate
pulled, can I
meeting.
share one thing? So
Yes.
I just pulled a card from my deck, and actually
Okay.
two fell out at the same time. And so one was I charge my worth, and pulled it out while you were talking
No
about the
way!
story of Sabrina. So this is an affirmation card deck I made. It says, I do no one a service by pricing myself too low. I deserve to run a sustainable business that allows me to tap into resources. I need to expand my purpose and profit today and in the long run. So if anybody's watching this, put charge if this one resonated with you. And the second one literally fell out of the deck. And it says, I am safe in my expansion. And this was as you were talking about being on
Thank
TV.
you.
And it says, I can always come back to my body, support my nervous system, and slow down to experience safety before taking a big leap in my brand or business. I am in control and I am safe.
Oh, 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 thank you. I
So
love you too, Sabrina.
yeah.
Okay, so I haven't put this out in the world, but I'm going to tell you. So I've had this idea, this TV show idea, and
Mm-hmm.
I today, but not today. So last week I started pitching a producer that I know at a national talk show. Like
Ooh.
everyone would know the name. And today I saw something else from a magazine editor who I know, and I pitched her, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
today is the first day where I felt like it's going to happen. And so that's a lot of, yeah, I just
Oh, I
want to
love
say, like,
that for
this is
you.
going to
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
But
Oh,
that's a
I'm
lot.
holding
That's,
space for that.
thank you. I appreciate it. But that was
Mm-hmm.
confirmation that it's going to happen. And I hope confirmation for people watching that they
Yeah,
are truly charging their worth. Oh my God, we need to spend
absolutely.
more time together. This is too
I
amazing.
know. We'll chat offline, but
Yes, we
thank you for
will.
having me on and sharing. I'm so curious to learn more about what you do because, of course, as my people do have
Yep.
those funnels, we need to figure out, are they doing ads? Are they doing PR? Are they doing organic traffic, YouTube,
Yes.
whatever? So if anybody's in our world, I would definitely recommend following this account and making sure that you can kind of see what she's doing.
I appreciate that. You too, Chelsea. Everything will be in the comments. I appreciate you
Sounds
so much.
good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk next week. Sending you lots of love.
Sounds
Give us a
good.
smile so we can have a good cover. Awesome. I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Tune back in at noon for Alex Purse Glove. We're going to have another conversation about building your business. Bye, everybody.